Hello dear students, welcome to the next session of Principles of Inheritance and Variation. So today we are going to discuss regarding the various concepts which are very essential for understanding the various aspects of genetic cross which are conducted by the Mendel and other scientists. See, before moving to those concepts, here are some important points for the competitive examinations like NEET only. See, these points are important only for the NEET examination, not even for the PU examinations. What those points are here? First, as we already know that one, the Gregor John Mendel, who is considered as the father of genetics, he was popularly known for his works, that is hybridization experiments carried over the edible pea plant, that is Pisum sativum. See, if you think that the Mendel worked only on the pea plant, so it is wrong. Why? Because he worked on two other plants also, but failed to obtain the results as he obtained in the pea plant. That is, Mendel also worked on other two plants, but failed to obtain the results as he got the successful results in the pea plants. So what are those plants? Means one is hawkweed and second one is lub and then the hawkweed. So hawkweed is also called as Haraceum. Then why he didn't mention the what results he obtained in order to propose the laws of inheritance or the variations? Why? Because he failed to obtain the results as that of the garden pea plant. Then why he failed to obtain the results in hawkweed and in the lub plant as that of the garden pea plant? Means it is because of two underlying reasons. What are those reasons means? One is parthenogenesis and second one is non-availability of the pure line seeds in these two plants. Means in these two plants there is a production of the seed or the fruit without actual fertilization, and that process is called as parthenogenesis. So when there is no fertilization takes place, so it is not possible to carry out the cross pollination, right? And because of that one, there is no availability of the non-availability of the pure line seeds. So if pure line seeds are not available, means how you will carry out the controlled hybridization experiment in order to check for a pattern of inheritance of a particular character or the trait. So because of these two reasons only, the Mendel didn't work or continue to work on the hawkweed and lub plant, but as the pea plant was more suitable for his hybridization experiment, he continued all his experiments over the pea plant only. See, this concept is very important for the NEET examination. So the Mendel worked on two other plants other than the garden pea plant. Which are those plants? Means so please remember that one. That is, one is the hawkweed and second one is the lub. But why he failed to obtain the result as that of the garden pea plant means two reasons are there. One is parthenogenesis, second one is the non-availability of the pure lines. Is it clear, guys? Okay. Next, one more very important concept for the NEET examination purpose only, means that is, see, in pea plants there is a gene named as SBE1. The name of the gene is SBE1. This gene codes for the synthesis of, what it codes for the synthesis means, it codes for the synthesis of an enzyme called as SBE. What do you mean by SBE? Means here it is called as starch branching enzyme. Starch branching enzyme. So what is the use of this starch branching enzyme means? So this enzyme is very essential for, this enzyme is very essential for the production of round seeds. Production of round seeds in pea plant. So what is the role played by the SBE1 gene, and then the SBE enzyme is SBE1 gene is responsible for the production of, or it codes for the synthesis of a enzyme called as SBE. What is the full form of SBE? Starch branching enzyme. And what is the function of that enzyme is it is responsible for the production of the round shaped seeds in pea plant. What happens if this gene undergoes mutation? So mutation in SBE1 gene. If mutations occurs in the SBE1 gene means, so if mutations occurs in SBE1 gene, then it leads to, such mutations leads to failure in synthesis of SBE enzyme, that is starch branching enzyme, and results in, so such a failure in the synthesis of the SBE enzyme that results in production of wrinkled seeds. You know that in pea plant, a round seed is a dominant character and a wrinkled seed is an recessive character. So now, can anyone tell what is the meaning of dominant and what is the meaning of recessive? You don't know, right? Yes. What do you mean by gene? You don't know, right? Okay. So, in order to understand these concepts or these words, or before understanding the further experiments and many principles and then the laws of the inheritance, we must acquaint ourselves with the various terminologies used in genetics. So before that, make a note of these points, then we will discuss regarding some of the important terminologies required to understand the genetics. So let's see the various the terminologies which are required to understand the genetics, various concepts in genetics. First one is the concept of factors. What do you mean by factors? How that the concept of factors came into existence. See, while Mendel was conducting experiments over the pea plant, he observed that there was something which was being stably passed down unchanged from parents to the offsprings, not only in one generation but over successive generations. Means there was something in parental generation which got transferred to their offsprings, and from the offsprings to their offsprings, like that over many generations without undergoing any changes, and in stable manner it was got transmitted from parents to the offsprings over many generations. That something which was observed by the Mendel, then he called that something as a factor. Say for example, just for the understanding, let's call that something as a X. So this X which was present in the parental generation, it got transmitted to their offsprings without undergoing any changes. Means parent generation also it was X only, and in offsprings also it is present as X only without undergoing any changes. And for their offsprings also it get transmitted without undergoing any changes. And for their offsprings also it get inherited or transferred without undergoing any changes. Means here, the something which was passed down from parents to the offsprings stably without undergoing any changes over many or successive generations, that something was called as a factor by Mendel. Did you understand the concept of factors now? There was something which was passed down from parents to offsprings over many generations in a stable manner without undergoing any changes, and that something was called as a factor. And scientifically, Now we call this factor as genes. Now we call the factor as gene. The other term which is used for the factors now is nothing but gene, or in plural form genes, right? So what do you mean by gene then? How can you define the gene? So gene is nothing but a segment of DNA. So gene is a segment of DNA. Where you can find the presence of gene means gene is present in DNA. So gene is a segment of the DNA. Say for example in nucleus the chromatid material will be present, right? Which will be chromatid material will be present. So that contains DNA. In that DNA, a part or the piece of the DNA is called as gene. So what is the function of this gene means? So gene is a segment of DNA which code for this segment of DNA which code for a particular function that is nothing but expression of a trait of a character of an organism. Such a segment of DNA is called as gene. So which is responsible for the production or the appearance or the formation of a particular trait of a character in an organism is that is nothing but gene, means segment of the DNA where that information was hidden. So where the information for the expression of a particular trait of a character is hidden in organism means that is in the form of gene, that is segment of the DNA. So this gene is called as unit of heredity. So gene is the unit of heredity or is called as unit of inheritance. What is the meaning of this one means? How the characters present in the parents will get inherited to the offsprings. How they will be carried from parents to the offspring means through genes only. Nothing but through part of the DNA. In that form only, the characters present in the parents get inherited to their offsprings. Is it clear, guys? Make a note of these points. Later we'll discuss regarding other aspects of the gene. See, the next one. Chemically, what a gene means? Chemically, gene is nothing but a segment of the DNA that is having a particular function. The most common function is being nothing but a synthesis of a polypeptide. So you may be knowing that one. The polypeptide is nothing but a protein that forms a protein. So what is the common function of the gene means? That is the production or the synthesis of a particular protein. Is it clear, guys? So for that only, a gene always contains information that is required for the expression of a particular trait, okay, by the production of a particular protein. The next concept is, or the next terminology, or the next term is the alleles. What do you mean by allele? What is the difference between allele and in the gene then? So we got to know that one, what a gene is and what it code for. Next is allele. What do you mean by allele? Genes which code for the pair of contrasting traits are only called as alleles. Means the genes which code for a pair of contrasting traits are called as alleles. This is what the definition of allele. or it can also be defined as slightly different forms of same gene are also called as alleles. One gene is present, the same gene which is slightly different from the original one. So in one pair of genes, means among two genes, both are same but they are slightly different from each other, then such a pair of genes is called as alleles. So this is what the definition of the alleles. Let's understand it with the example or with an example. Say for example, so in pea plant, the character plant height, two traits are present. Two traits are there. What are those two traits? That is tall and dwarf. Means here genes coding for the plant height, that is gene coding for the tallness of the plant and the gene coding for the dwarfness of the plant. Both are coding for the same character. What is that? Plant height. Means both are same genes only, but they are slightly different from each other. One will be the plant with the particular gene will be tall, and the plant with the alternate form of the same gene will be dwarf. Means both are coding for the same character but slightly different from each other. Such a pair of genes, means pair of genes which code for tallness and dwarfness are forming alleles. So a gene can be used for denoting any factor. We can call any factor as a gene, but we cannot call any gene as an allele. But the term allele should be used. It should be used only with its alternate form. Its alternate allele are the gene. Means when the same gene coding for a particular trait in slightly different manner or slightly different from each other, for such a pair of genes only we can use the term alleles or the allele. But the term gene can be used for denoting any factor. If a factor is present, okay, a single factor is present, we can call that one as a gene. If the single gene is present, we cannot call that as a allele. In order to use the term alleles, always there should be a pair of genes which code for a particular character in a slightly different manner. Then for that pair only we can call it as alleles. Okay. Say for example, in diploid plant, what happens? There will be a contrasting pair of traits will be present for a particular character. And in order to understand that one, always we use the English alphabets to denote these alleles. And we use the English alphabets as symbols to denote the gene or alleles of a trait, of a particular trait. So let's understand that one with an example. So before that, make a note of these points now. So how to use the English alphabets to indicate or denote the alleles? Means here the capital letter should be used to denote the trait which get expressed in the F1 generation. See, in a class in the F1 generation, which trait of the particular character get expressed, and in order to denote that trait, a capital letter should be used. And small letter is used for the other trait which do not get expressed in the F1 generation but reappears in the F2 generation. Let us understand with the example now. Say for example, capital T is used for the tall trait in a plant, and small t is used for denoting the dwarf trait. So you know that one, tall and dwarf are the traits of a character called as plant height. So these two are the contrasting traits for the character plant height. So as all plants in the F1 generation will be tall, so in order to denote that one, capital letter is used here. And dwarf plants do not appear or do not produce in the F1 generation, but they reappear in the F2 generation. So in order to denote that dwarf trait, small letter is used here. So here capital T and then the small t are the alleles for each other. Alleles for each other means both are the traits of a same character, but they are contrasting to each other. So such a pair of genes which code for the contrasting traits, these only called as alleles, right? So here capital T and small t are representing allele for each other. So therefore, in plants which are diploid, the possible pairs of alleles for the plant height, that would be, how we can write the possible pairs of the alleles, means that would be either capital T and then the capital T. So what are the possibilities are there? So in allelic pair, both alleles may code for the same trait, that is tallness only. Because in diploid plant means there will be a presence of two genes or the two alleles to code for a particular character. Either they will be same, that is capital T and capital T, or the one may be coding for the tallness and other will be coding for the dwarfness. So this possibility is also present, means the gamete, one gamete which is containing the allele for the capital, allele for the tallness, and one gamete for the containing allele for the dwarfness, both may be inherited to a offspring from the parents. Other possibility is the both may be alleles which code for the dwarfness only. These are the three possible conditions that will be present in a diploid plant called as nothing but plant height. So remember here, we should not use the term, we should not use capital T for tall and D for dwarf. Why? Because so that we will not get to know or we will get confused which character the T refers to and which character the D refers to. We should always use one capital letter and one small letter for denoting the traits of a particular character, and we should not use the separate alphabets in order to denote the traits of a particular character. Is it clear, guys? So this is regarding the genes as well as the alleles. Okay, make a note of these points now. See, these two terms, that is the genes and alleles, were coined by the different scientists. See, the term, the gene was coined by Johansson, and then the term allele was coined by Bateson. So this information is very essential for answering the NEET as well as the CET questions. Okay, so remember, these two are very important for the competitive examinations like the NEET and the CET. Is it clear, guys? So this is regarding today's class to understand the various terminologies in order to understand the genetics, and the remaining terminologies we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you, guys.